Hello and welcome to Mr. Barton's autograph video number 30. Now I've had a few emails coming in over the last couple of months asking if autograph can do anything extra with vectors. I've shown you in early videos how you can translate shapes with vectors, but people want to know, can you show what happens when you add two vectors together or subtract vectors or travel along multiples of vectors? Well, the good news is that you certainly can, and over the course of the next 2 weeks worth of videos I'm going to show you some of the extra stuff you can do with vectors on autograph. So we're going to start this week in standard mode with a bog standard two-dimensional graph page. I'm going to get rid of the key as I normally do, right click, get rid of show key, and what I'm also going to do is get rid of these axes, but I don't want a completely blank page, and I want to keep these minor grid lines in. So I'm going to click on here, edit axes, I'm going to go to options and I'm going to go for none. Click OK, that's looking nice. Right, let's get myself a couple of vectors to work with. So I'm going to stick a point in, so in point mode, and I'm going to pop a point there I think, and I'm going to create the vector 1, 2. So again, you can ask the students what that vector is going to look like. With my point selected, if I right click and I scroll down, I'll just do it a bit up here so you can see better. Right click, there's my vector mode, and I would like 1, 2, and hopefully, yep, there we go, 1 to the right and 2 up, and I think I'll have another vector in. So let's start it here as my anchor point. I'm going to right click, and this time I quite fancy going for, say, let's go for 2 minus 1. So right click, vector down at the bottom there, and let's go for 2 minus 1 and click OK. Nice. Right, let's see some of the things we can do with this. Now, each time you create a vector this way on autograph, you need a point to start with, a kind of anchor point. So let's just pop myself a point over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from that point, and I want to travel along 2 lots of this vector. Let's call this vector A. If I just label it A in scribble mode, that is a pathetic A, but hopefully you can see what I mean, and that B. So I want to start at this point and travel along 2 lots of A, so I can get the student to predict what that's going to look like. And when I'm happy, I've just got to make sure that that point is selected and my vector's selected. So I'm in whiteboard mode, so no need to hold down shift. Click on that vector, both selected, and if I right click, hopefully down here I get multiply vector, and I would like to travel along 2 lots of that vector. Click OK, and there's 2 lots of A. And what's quite nice here is that you can show the students that you have actually gone along 2 lots of A. If I grab that vector and move it here, there's 1 lot of A, and then when I get to the end, there's 2 lots of A. Nice. Okay, let's now go for something like travelling along A plus B. Okay, and this is where life gets a bit more interesting. So I'll just select this vector and delete it. No problem there. And again, I'm going to start at my anchor point, and I'm going to select my point, and I'm going to tell autograph that I want to travel along vector A, and I also want to travel along vector B. So everything's selected. I right click, and towards the bottom now I get add vectors. So I get the students to predict what they think that's going to look like. And I get that. Now that's quite tricky for the students to visualise where that's come from, but of course if I move these vectors over we can see exactly where it's come from, because what autograph has done is travel along vector A, and then when it's got to the end of vector A it's travelled along vector B, and there's my resultant vector. And I can do other things with this. I can say to the students, well, is that the same as B plus A? Well, let's have a look. Travel along B, and then I travel along A, and I get there. Very nice. And finally, what I can do as well is have a look at what happens when I subtract vectors, and this gets quite interesting as well. So let's again delete that. Let's move my anchor point up here a little bit, and let's this time travel along A minus B. So I'm going to select my point, and this time the order is very important. Select A, select B, right click, and I'm going to go for subtract vectors. Now I'll whiz up there. Now if you ever find that things are looking like they're flying off screen, just drag it down, not a problem. Now what's autograph doing there? Let's have a look. So we travel along vector A, and when we get to the end of vector A we travel along the negative of B, A minus B, which is very different to, if I just show you, if we start here and this time we go for B minus A, so let's select that, select B and select A. If I select, sorry you can't see, subtract vectors, we get a very different vector. But of course if I move that there, it's the exact same length, it's just going in the opposite direction. So that's some of the things you can do with vectors in 2 dimensions in autograph. Next week I think we'll take on the world of 3D. Hope all's well, and see you later. Bye bye.